The Nintendo Switch is the only console that I currently collect video games for. There are so many reasons for this, but the biggest one is just that it's my all-time favorite game console. Being the first of its kind, a plug-in and portable hybrid, it really changed the way I look at gaming. But a nice bonus is that the Nintendo Switch is on its way to becoming the best-selling console ever, meaning it will hold a special place in a lot of people's hearts too, and also meaning that there might be a lot of people collecting for this console down the road. Now listen, I'm not purchasing games in hopes of them going up in value. I'm just collecting because I'm a big fan of the console. However, Nintendo has managed to control the price of most of its games on this console very well, with many games released 6 years ago still selling for full retail price. I don't know what this means for the future of Nintendo Switch collecting, but I do know a lot of these games are pretty expensive, so it never hurts to start collecting now. Some Nintendo Switch staples have been in print since the beginning of the Nintendo Switch's lifespan, but some games that really could have kept selling well went out of print, making them increasingly difficult to find. On top of this, other external factors are also playing a role in the value of certain games, whether it's hype around the franchise or just scarcity of the product. In today's video, I'm going to discuss a few Nintendo Switch titles that are general releases that I believe are going to go up in value based on what I'm seeing in the market. Today, we're not talking about any limited run games or collector's editions. Keep in mind that this is my personal opinion and this is speculative, so nothing stated here is guaranteed, though I will do my best to explain all of my reasoning. One last thing that I want to mention before getting started is I'm only focusing on the American version of games, as PAL versions can usually be found much cheaper. I'm also only going to be talking about games that haven't already recently shot up in price. We all know Super Mario All-Stars and Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster are extremely pricey, so there's no need for me to discuss them. I'm only focusing on general release games that I believe will eventually be going for more than their MSRP. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for all things gaming, and without further ado, here are some games that I expect to increase in value in the coming years. First up, we have Persona 5 Royal. This is a weird one because the Switch port came out just over a year ago in October of 2022. Now, I remember seeing this game with a red tag for half price at GameStop around Christmas time last year, and being pleasantly surprised since it was a pretty new release at the time. But for some reason, shortly after that sale, I've been seeing it less and less in stores. I actually purchased a copy a few weeks ago, and it was incredibly hard to find at a decent price. All of the GameStops in my city were sold out. None of the local retro game stores had a copy, and with shipping fees, it is selling for above retail price on eBay. Now, it is for sale on Amazon for just slightly under its initial retail price, but its scarcity in local stores leads me to believe that it won't stay that way. I'm not sure if this game is still being printed or not, but with all of the hype around Persona from 3 Reload and rumors of Persona 6, I have a feeling this iconic title will be going for above retail price down the road. Now next up, we have Planescape Torment and Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition. These are D&D style games that have been remastered for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm a bit of a weirdo and I like playing games in sequential order if I can. With Baldur's Gate 3 recently releasing, I figured I would look into Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 for the Switch. To my surprise, those games skyrocketed in price as Baldur's Gate 3 started gaining tons of hype, resulting in me not being nearly as interested in them. Planescape Torment is an incredibly influential CRPG that I've been seeing more and more people talking about recently, and with it being so closely tied to Baldur's Gate, I have a strong feeling this one will be going for much more than it currently is in the near future. Now, full disclosure, I hope I'm wrong about this one, as I haven't picked up my own copy yet, and I would like to before the predicted price increase. Luckily, the PAL version is still pretty cheap, so if it does go way up in value, I could just grab that one. On to the next, we have Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee edition Nintendo Switch consoles have been going up in price for quite a while now, and the Pokeball Plus bundles have been as well, but I actually predict the base games going up in price in the future too. These were the first Pokemon games to release on the Nintendo Switch, and they are now out of print from my understanding. I'll be honest, they are my least liked Pokemon games on the console due to their kind of kid-friendly mechanics with prioritizing catching Pokemon instead of a battle system. However, story-wise, they are essentially remakes of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, which are iconic titles that I don't think will ever be available on Nintendo Switch, and you can check out my last video to see more on that. Those are the best selling and some of the most iconic Game Boy games of all time, and they hold a very special place in the hearts of many. Since these Let's Go games might be the only way to play through this classic storyline on the Switch, and with the price of the special edition consoles and the Pokeball Plus bundle going way up, I can definitely see these games becoming the most expensive Pokemon games on the console in the future. The next Switch game that I see going up in value is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Love it or hate it, aside from Link's Awakening, this is the most traditional feeling Zelda game on the Nintendo Switch. I personally really enjoyed it. This game has sold less copies than any other mainline Zelda on the Nintendo Switch, and while there are a ton of copies for the Nintendo Wii circulating around, the Switch version is much more enjoyable due to its option to not use motion controls and its upgraded visuals. With Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom becoming console-defining titles, I foresee a lot of people wanting a complete Zelda Switch collection down the road and needing this game to finish it off. And considering the lack of units sold relative to the other Zelda games on the console, I think this one will be going for more than retail, just as we see with Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD on the Wii U. As a side note, I also predict both of the Hyrule Warrior games on the Switch being quite expensive in the future, as Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition already seems to have gone up in price quite a bit, and they are both becoming increasingly difficult to find. Now this list is not in order, but I do want to give out some honorable mention awards here before getting into the last game, as I predict these few games will go up in value in the coming years, but I'm not as confident as the others on here. In this honorable mention section I have Dark Souls, as it's the only Souls game on the Switch, and it has been out of print for quite a while. Skyrim, The Witcher 3, Doom 2016, and Dragon Ball Z Kakarot are also honorable mentions, as I believe they are all out of print, and I do see them slowly creeping up in price. Yes, as you could tell from the ones I just named, I am an RPG fan, but the funny thing is, all of these games have better versions available on other consoles, and for some reason, people like the novelty of the Switch ports. I'm guilty of this too, especially when it comes to games that shouldn't run well on the console but do. And last but certainly not least on the speculative list is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The Xenoblade Chronicles franchise is one that as a big JRPG fan, I'm a bit ashamed to have never played. Obviously, like most JRPGs, these games are massive and I just haven't had the time yet, though I do plan to give them a go eventually. JRPGs in general always have these cult-like followings, and Xenoblade is no exception. The Switch version of the first game in the series is the Definitive Edition, aka the best way to play that game, and I also predict that game going way up in value, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna the Golden Country. So those are just some of the general release Switch games that I believe are worth getting now while they are still affordable, just in case my predictions are correct. The truth is, I hope I'm wrong about all of these games. As being a consumer and a collector, I want these games to stay relatively inexpensive so I can easily buy them. However, we know this video game market is wild and that might not be the case. If you liked the video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel, as once I hit 1,000 subs, I will be fully monetized, which allows me to spend more time making better content. And let me know down in the comments below if you'd like to see me make another list including some limited run titles, as that's where the real money will probably be. Also, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what games you think will go up in price in the upcoming years. And as always, take care guys, and I will see you in the next one.